Some of my recent work has been investigating the idea of the human dressed up as the animal, the kind of idea of the plushie or furry fandom, the fetishization of the animal or anthropomorphic nature of animals in relation to humans. I made a work called Dog Eat Dog, a video performance where I dressed as a dog and I proceed to eat 30-something hot dogs. And you know, there's kind of a sexualization of food that's running throughout that work as well. Another work I've made for Cementa 15 for Candos projects is called Monkey Bars, 3 wise man monkeys playing on the monkey bars in a local playground at Candos. You know, cavorting on the playground equipment, eating bananas, and sexualized play activity is played out in that work. When I was invited by Brodie Connell to participate in the Alaska Freefall program for the Oxford Art Factory Cube, I was immediately thinking about how I could kind of extend that idea of the, you know, the furry fandom and the plushie, but in a live context. I don't perform live as much as I used to. Most of my work is video performance now. So I really kind of thought about how I could, you know, push myself in the context of the Cube. I was thinking about what kind of persona or character I could create for that particular program, and immediately was thinking about the one and only Plucker Duck from Hey Hey It's Saturday from the kind of 80s and 90s, a segment from a variety show. A lot of my work is very deeply engaged in popular culture, Australiana, and certain kind of elements of cringe, you know, is associated with some of the stuff that I reference in my work. Certainly, Hey Hey, it's a very low culture, cringy thing to be referencing in such sophisticated performance work. But what I was interested in doing was kind of playing with how that could relate in a live nightclub context, and kind of ramp up the, you know, the costumes, turned it into something quite grotesque, and much more grotesque than the original, almost as if it was Plucker on meth, you know, this kind of idea that it was this really low rent version of an already low rent popular culture figure. I assembled the costume out of various bits and pieces that I bought from eBay and from hiring from costume shops, you know, skivvy and tights from American Apparel, a bunch of tutus, you know, feathers, feather boas, things like that, and a duck helmet, which all kind of, you know, brought together this almost like Frankenstein version of Plucker Duck, which I referred to or titled Fucka Duck. So I wanted to, in the context of Freefall, having seen a number of the live performances in the program in the past, I really wanted it to be interactive. I wanted to bring people in from outside the Cube so that it could become an opportunity to take a bit of a risk. And I knew that most of the punters that would probably come into the Cube were people who, in the non-art world, who have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, and who would actually probably be kind of delighted but slightly confused by it. It went really, really well, I think, in terms of the people that came in and interacted. There were lots of pillow fights, the idea of, you know, feathers flying around, and there were a fan in the space that also made that quite spectacular. You know, that idea of the Freefall, the title of the program, is interesting because it literally is like you potentially could fail. Most people really kind of embraced it, but it was an age group at that club that would probably never have watched Hey Hey. It's probably before their time. So it was, in some ways, transcended the popular culture reference, I think. The decision to use the balloons was very much, in some ways, to try and hide the stitched together nature of the costume. The costume was actually potentially going to fall apart throughout the night because it was really so badly put together. The balloons also reference an earlier work I made that was called Take My Breath Away, which I made in 2012. I co-performed with artist Danny Mudie, and it was a remake of Abramovich and Yulei's Breathing In, Breathing Out, but using a balloon and sharing that balloon between the two between the two performers as a way of sharing breath, as if the balloon was like a shared lung. Also, that work has references to an Yvonne Rainer piece as well, where two dancers are dancing with a white balloon. I had seen Michaela Gleave perform in the Cube a couple of years ago, where she had blown balloons up and filled it, you know, throughout the durational performance. But also the balloon in my earlier work, Take My Breath Away, was a fetishistic reference to the lunar community. You know, people who sexually fetishize balloons. The plushie, or the furry fandom that's referenced in these works is really just a jumping off point to explore more. You know, a lot of my work has been very much about queer identity politics, and queerness in my mind is not just about you know, this particular, you know, human relationships, but can be, you know, relationships between species and relationships between different entities. And you know, queerness is a kind of more all-encompassing category, at least that's how it's been kind of conceptualized over time. And I'm kind of interested in how the animal-human relationship, it can be played out in this way, and it's transgressive in a sense when humans actually emulate animal behaviour. By embodying those characters myself, I'm not necessarily making any claims to be a plushie, but it's a kind of it's a thing that I'm interested in exploring in relation to other popular culture tropes, you know, and it's language puns as well. I mean, you know, a dog eating hot dogs, you know, monkeys on the monkey bars, you know, Fucka duck. I mean, the pun there really was that the plucker was such a dirty duck. I mean, he got away with so much on, you know, prime time television, you know, a G-rated family hour slot. And it was, I remember as a kid being enraptured by Plucker Duck because there was something naughty about it. So I think that in some ways, maybe I'm trying to be a bit naughty with my work, but maybe just pushing myself into a particular realm where, while a lot of my work in the past has been about persona and performance and constructing identities, constructing personas, is how we can kind of construct other types of personas that are as kind of complex as much as they're absurd, you know, when they relate in this way to these animal characters.